They had watched Earth for 50 years. They had sent small ships to study the planet. They had listened to human radio signals. They had learned human languages. And after all that time, they decided that Earth would be easy to conquer. Commander stood on the bridge of his warship and looked at the blue planet below. He was tall, even for a. His body had 6 limbs and his skin was the color of wet stone. His eyes were like crystals and they could see in complete darkness. He had led 40 conquest missions before this one. He had never failed. "The humans are weak," he said to his lieutenant, a younger named Bren. "They fight among themselves. They have no energy shields. They have no faster-than-light travel. This will be simple." Bren nodded. He trusted his commander completely. The plan was straightforward. They would land a small team in a quiet area. They would study the humans up close. They would learn their weaknesses. Then the main fleet would arrive and Earth would belong to the collective. Chose a spot in the country called Korea. His sensors showed a small village in the mountains. The population was less than 1,000. There were no military bases nearby. It seemed like the perfect place to begin. They left the main vessel just before sunrise. It carried Bren and 4 soldiers. They were all armed with neural disruptors, weapons that could knock out any living creature with a single shot. They expected no problems. The ship descended through thick morning fog. The land below was green and beautiful. Mountains rose in the distance, covered with trees. Small farms dotted the hillsides. Everything looked peaceful. They landed on a hill near a simple wooden farmhouse. The engines went quiet. The door opened. Stepped out first, his boots pressing into the soft earth. The air smelled strange to him, full of scents he did not recognize. Flowers, grass, something cooking in the distance. He scanned the area with his crystal eyes. No threats, no weapons, just a small figure sitting on a wooden fence about 20 meters away. It was a human child, a female guest based on the data they had collected. She was very small, maybe 8 years old in human counting. She wore big rubber boots and a sweater that was too large for her body. Her hair was black and tied in 2 short tails. She was eating some kind of orange fruit and watching the aliens with calm, curious eyes. She did not run, she did not scream. She just sat there and ate her fruit. Found this strange. On other worlds, the native creatures always ran when they saw the. Fear was the natural response to meeting a superior species, but this tiny human showed no fear at all. Bren said quietly, "Bring the translator." Bren hurried forward with a small device. It was a machine that could understand and speak any language. They had programmed it with Korean before landing. Walked toward the child slowly. He did not want to scare her. He wanted information. "Small one," he said, and the translator turned his words into Korean. "Where are your elders? Where are the adults of your group?" The girl pointed down the hill toward the village. She took another bite of her fruit. Orange juice ran down her chin. "My grandfather is in the village," she said. Her voice was high and clear. "He is drinking tea with his friends. My grandmother is making breakfast. Do you want some? She makes very good rice cakes." Did not know how to respond to this. The child was offering him food. This was not how first contact was supposed to work. "What is your name?" he asked. "I am," the girl said. "What is your name? You look very interesting. Are you from far away?" Before could answer, put 2 fingers in her mouth and whistled. It was a sharp, loud sound that hurt sensitive ears. Something moved in the tall grass near the fence. At first thought it was a small dog. Many planets had dog-like creatures. They were usually harmless. But as the animal came closer, he realized it was not a dog at all. It was low to the ground, maybe 30 centimeters tall. Its body was covered in rough gray and black fur. It had small round ears and a flat head. Its claws were long and curved, made for digging. But it was the eyes that made uncomfortable. They were small and dark and completely empty of fear. They looked at the aliens the way a hunter looks at prey. "What is that creature?" Bren asked. His voice was shaking slightly. Jumped down from the fence and picked up the animal. It was heavy, maybe 12 kilograms, but she held it easily. The creature let her hold it, but its eyes never left the aliens. "This is," said happily. "He is my friend. My grandmother found him when he was a baby. His mother was dead, so grandmother raised him. He is a honey badger." Searched his memory for information about honey badgers. The database had very little. Small mammal, found in Africa and Asia. Eats honey, insects, and small animals, not considered dangerous to humans. But looking at the creature in the little girl's arms, felt something he had not felt in many years. It was a cold feeling in his stomach, a tightness in his chest. His instincts were telling him something that his mind did not want to accept. This small, strange animal was dangerous. And it was looking at him like he was food. Did not wait for anyone to make the first move. He did not growl or show his teeth as a warning. He simply looked at the aliens for 3 seconds, decided they were enemies, and attacked. The honey badger jumped from his arms and ran toward Lieutenant Bren with terrifying speed. Bren tried to step back, but he was too slow. His teeth found the soft spot where Bren's leg armor met his body suit. The bite was deep and savage. Bren screamed. It was not a brave sound. It was the sound of pure surprise and pain. "Get it off," he shouted, shaking his leg wildly. "Get this thing off me." Raised his neural disruptor and fired. The weapon made no sound, but a blue light shot from its end and hit directly in the side. On every other world, this weapon had worked perfectly. One shot could knock out a creature 10 times size. The target would fall asleep instantly and wake up hours later with a headache. Stumbled, he let go of Bren's leg and shook his head like he had water in his ears. Felt relief. The weapon had worked. Then turned and looked at with those empty black eyes. He was not unconscious. He was not even hurt. He was angry. The honey badger charged at. "Impossible," shouted. He fired again and again. The blue light hit 3 more times. Each time the creature stumbled slightly. Each time he kept coming. Jumped and bit down on its primary arm, the one holding the weapon. His teeth went through the suit material like it was paper. Purple blood, the color of all blood, began to flow. Dropped his weapon and tried to shake the creature off, but its jaws were locked tight. The harder shook, the deeper the teeth went. Had not moved from her spot near the fence. She watched the fight with the same calm expression she had worn since the aliens arrived. She did not seem worried at all. "Does not feel pain very much," she explained in a helpful voice. "The animal doctor says his skin is very loose and very thick. Also, he is mean. He is always mean. Grandmother says he was born angry." The 4 soldiers ran out of to help their commander. They were big, strong warriors who had fought in many battles. They had defeated creatures much larger than this small earth animal. Released his arm and turned to face the new enemies. For a moment, he was still. He seemed to be thinking, planning. Then he attacked the nearest soldier with a speed that should have been impossible for such a small body. What happened next was chaos. Moved like water flowing from one target to another. He went for the weak spots in their armor, the joints, the soft tissue. He bit and clawed and scratched. When one soldier grabbed him, he twisted his loose skin and bit the hand that held him. When another tried to kick him, he dodged and attacked the other leg instead. The soldiers fired their weapons again and again. Some shots missed. Some shots hit, but kept fighting. The neural disruptors that could knock out large animals only seemed to make him angrier. One soldier managed to corner against a rock. He raised his weapon for a killing shot, but before he could fire, did something unexpected. He turned around, lifted his tail, and sprayed. The smell that followed was the worst thing any of them had ever experienced. It was like rotting meat mixed with burning chemicals. 2 soldiers immediately began vomiting inside their sealed helmets. They fell to the ground, choking and crying. Used this moment to escape. He ran between the 6 soldiers and attacked Bren again, this time going for his hand. Bren's screams got louder. The fight lasted 18 minutes. When it finally ended, 3 soldiers needed emergency medical care. Bren had lost 2 fingers. His arm was badly damaged and would never fully heal. The other soldier had deep cuts on his face that would leave permanent scars. And the honey badger walked calmly back to and sat at her feet. He had some purple blood on his fur. He had a small burn mark on his side where the neural disruptors had hit him many times, but he was fine. He looked up at and she scratched behind his ears. He made a strange sound like metal grinding against metal. Apparently, this was how honey badgers showed happiness. Sat against his damaged ship, holding his wounded arm. His mind could not understand what had just happened. His team had conquered planets. They had defeated armies, and now they had been beaten by a creature that weighed less than a human child. "Why?" he gasped, looking at. "Why did it attack us? We did not threaten it. We did not threaten you." Tilted her head and thought about the question. Then she smiled. "You are on his hill," she said simply. "Does not like strangers on his hill. He is very protective. Once a wild pig came to the farm, fought it for 2 hours. The pig was 5 times bigger than him. The pig lost." Stared at the small creature, stared back. There was no emotion in those black eyes, no fear, no anger, just pure, absolute confidence. This small animal was afraid of nothing. And for the first time in 40 conquest campaigns, Commander understood what it felt like to be the prey instead of the hunter. The noise from the fight had traveled down the hill to the village. It took about 30 minutes for the villagers to organize themselves and walk up to the farm. They were not in a hurry. They were old, and the hill was steep. Elder led the group. He was 73 years old. His hair was white and his face was covered with wrinkles from years of working in the sun. He walked with a wooden stick, but his back was straight and his eyes were sharp. He had survived the war when he was young. He had survived the hard years after. He had survived his wife's cooking, which was famously terrible. He was not easily impressed. Behind him came 12 other villagers. Most of them were old farmers. Some carried tools, hoes and shovels and rakes, not because they expected to fight, but because they had been working when they heard the noise. One old woman carried a large wooden spoon. She had been cooking soup. Saw her grandfather and ran to hug him. Followed her, his claws clicking on the rocks. Looked at the aliens, then at the damaged ship, then at the wounded soldiers lying on the ground. He looked at the purple blood on his fur. "What happened here?" he asked his granddaughter. "The strangers came from the sky," said. "Did not like them." Nodded slowly. This made sense to him. Did not like anyone except, and sometimes on good days, her grandmother. He walked toward Commander, who was still sitting against the ship. The alien was twice his size and had claws and crystal eyes and weapons from another world. Was not afraid at all. "You are trespassing," he said. His voice was flat and calm. Tried to stand, but the pain in his arm was too strong. He stayed sitting and looked up at the old human. "We are the collective," he said through the translator. "We have conquered 900 worlds. We control systems across the galaxy. We came to claim this planet for our empire." Scratched his chin. "That is nice. You are still trespassing. This is my land. My family has farmed this hill for 200 years. You do not understand. We are a superior species. We have technology beyond your imagination. We have weapons that can destroy cities. I understand perfectly. You came to my farm without permission. Your people scared my granddaughter, and now you are sitting in my dirt, bleeding," pointed at with his stick. "It seems my granddaughter's pet does not think you are very superior." Had no answer for this. He had made speeches like this on many worlds. Usually, the native creatures were crying or running or begging for mercy by now. This old human was looking at him like he was a minor problem, like a broken fence or a sick chicken. A younger woman pushed through the crowd of villagers. Her name was, she was the village animal doctor. She was 40 years old, strong and practical, with short hair and dirty hands. She had treated many times over the years for various injuries. The honey badger had a habit of fighting things much bigger than himself. Once he fought a wild boar for an entire afternoon. Another time he attacked a poisonous snake and ate it. Last year he somehow got into a fight with a farming machine. Did not ask how. She just fixed him up. She walked past the aliens without fear and knelt beside Lieutenant Bren, who was moaning on the ground. 2 fingers are gone, she announced after a quick look. Clean bites, no infection yet, you are lucky. Lucky, Bren gasped. That creature destroyed my hand. If wanted to destroy your hand, he would have taken the whole thing. He was being gentle. She stood up and wiped purple blood on her apron. I can close these wounds if you want. I have tools in my bag. They are for animals, but they should work on you too. Watched in disbelief. This human woman was offering to help them. After everything that had happened, after they had come to conquer her world, she was offering medical aid like it was the most normal thing in the universe. Why would you help us? He asked. Shrugged, you are hurt. I fix things that are hurt. That is my job. Politics and conquest and all that nonsense is not my business. Wounds are my business. She opened her bag and began pulling out tools. Needles, thread, bandages, medicine that smelled sharp and clean. She worked on Bren's hand quickly and efficiently while the other villagers watched. Pulled out an old phone from his pocket. It was small and simple, the kind of phone that could only make calls and send text messages. He dialed a number and waited. Hello, Sergeant Park. Yes, it is from the mountain village. We have a situation. Some strangers landed on my farm. They say they are from space. They tried to conquer the earth, but my granddaughter's honey badger beat them up. Yes. Yes, I am serious. No, I have not been drinking. Can you send someone? They are bleeding everywhere and making a mess. He closed the phone and put it back in his pocket. Stared at him. You called your military. I called Sergeant Park. He handles unusual problems in this area. He is a good man. He will know what to do. Sat down on a rock and pulled out a small bottle from his coat. It was rice wine. He took a long drink. Now we wait. Would you like some? You look like you need it. Commander, conqueror of 900 worlds, took the bottle from the old farmer and drank deeply. The liquid burned his throat in a strangely pleasant way. Around him, the villagers had begun to relax. Some sat down. Others talked quietly among themselves. One old man had started playing a game on his phone. The woman with the wooden spoon had gone back to the village to check on her soup. No one seemed worried about the alien invasion at all. The Korean military arrived 2 hours later. Expected tanks. He expected helicopters and missiles and hundreds of soldiers in battle armor. He had seen the military responses of other planets. They usually involved panic and overwhelming force. Instead, 2 small green vehicles drove up the hill. They carried 8 soldiers and a young officer. The soldiers looked relaxed. Some of them were eating snacks. One was listening to music through small devices in his ears. The young officer stepped out and looked around. His name was. He was 28 years old with a thin face and intelligent eyes. He carried a small computer tablet instead of a weapon. He did not look scared. He looked curious. Commander of the collective, he asked, reading from his tablet. Yes, said. He had managed to stand up, though his arm was wrapped in bandages that had applied. I am the leader of this expedition. I am Lieutenant. I handle unusual situations for this region. He looked at the damaged ship, the wounded soldiers, and the honey badger sleeping in the sun near his feet. This is definitely unusual. He sat down on a rock across from. The 8 soldiers spread out around the area, but they did not point weapons at anyone. They seemed more interested in looking at the alien ship than preparing for battle. So said, you came to conquer Earth. Yes, admitted. And you started with this village. Our sensors showed it was a safe location. Low population, no military presence, Minimal resistance expected. Looked at, the honey badger was still sleeping. His small chest moved up and down slowly. He looked almost cute when he was not trying to kill something. "Your sensors," the lieutenant said carefully, "need improvement." He opened his tablet and began searching for something. While he searched, he talked. "I have studied Earth animals my whole life. It is my hobby. I know many things about creatures that most people do not care about." He found what he was looking for and turned the screen toward. "Do you know what this is?" The screen showed a honey badger fighting a lion. The lion was huge, many times larger than the honey badger. But the small creature was not running. It was attacking. It was biting and clawing and screaming with rage. The lion looked confused and a little scared. "That is the same kind of creature that attacked us," said. "Yes, the honey badger. In Earth languages we call it by many names, but one name is the most famous," smiled. "We call it the most fearless animal in the world." He showed more pictures, more videos. A honey badger fighting a snake. A honey badger fighting 3 hyenas. A honey badger digging into a beehive, getting stung hundreds of times and continuing to eat honey like nothing was happening. "Their skin is very thick and very loose," explained. "When something bites them, the skin moves around the teeth. It is very hard to cause real damage. They can be bitten by venomous snakes and survive. The poison does not affect them much. They just sleep for a few hours and wake up hungry." Thought about his neural disruptor. 6 shots that should have killed the creature, and it just kept attacking. "This creature is not normal," he said. "No," agreed. "But here is the thing you need to understand. Honey badgers are not the most dangerous animals on Earth. They are not even close. We have creatures that are much bigger, much stronger, much deadlier." He leaned forward. "And humans have hunted all of them. We have made them afraid of us." He showed more pictures. Lions, tigers, bears, sharks, crocodiles, wolves, all of them dangerous, all of them predators, and all of them avoiding humans when possible. "Every apex predator on this planet has learned to fear humans," said, "except honey badgers. They are too angry to be afraid of anything, but even they do not usually attack humans. Do you know why?" Shook his head. "Because we do not smell like prey. We do not act like prey. When a honey badger looks at a human, it sees another predator, an equal, sometimes a friend." He pointed at who was now feeding pieces of dried meat. "That little girl raised that creature from a baby. He sees her as family. He sees this farm as his territory. When you landed here, you were not invading a primitive world. You were invading a honey badger's home." Felt sick. His entire plan had been wrong from the beginning. Pulled up more information on his tablet. This time, it was not about animals. It was about humans. "Let me tell you about my species," he said. "We discovered how to split atoms. Do you know what we did with that power? We made bombs. We made weapons that can destroy entire cities in seconds. We have enough of these weapons to kill everything on our planet several times over." He showed maps. Red dots covered the Earth. Each dot was a nuclear weapon. "We fight wars constantly. We always have. We fight over land, over resources, over ideas, over nothing at all. We are very good at killing things. We have made it into an art form." Looked at the young lieutenant. He looked at the relaxed soldiers eating their snacks. He looked at the old villagers who had treated an alien invasion like a minor inconvenience. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked. "Because you need to understand what you almost started." Put away his tablet. "They have conquered 900 worlds. That is impressive. But those worlds did not have nuclear weapons. They did not have humans who domesticate the most fearless animal on their planet and keep it as a pet for their children. They did not have a species that has practiced warfare for thousands of years and gotten very, very good at it." He stood up and brushed dirt from his uniform. "You landed 6 soldiers on a hill and were defeated by a 12-kilogram animal and an 8-year-old girl. Imagine what would happen if you landed an army." Imagined it. He imagined millions of humans, All of them with that same lack of fear that the little girl had shown. All of them with weapons and bombs and a species-wide talent for violence. For the first time, he was glad the invasion had failed. 3 days passed. The ship was repaired enough to fly again. The wounded soldiers had been treated by both and human military doctors who came from the city. Lieutenant Bren would never get his fingers back, but the doctors said he would heal. During those 3 days, many important things happened. Leaders from many countries talked to each other. They talked to the through video screens. There were arguments and threats and negotiations. In the end, everyone agreed to pretend the invasion had never happened. They called it a cultural exchange mission. The humans called it that weird thing in the mountains. Both sides agreed to keep it secret from ordinary people. On the morning of the 4th day, they prepared to leave. Their ship sat on the hillside, making a low humming sound as the engines warmed up. A small crowd had gathered to watch. There were soldiers and scientists and government officials. There were also the villagers who had brought food and drinks and were treating the whole thing like a festival. Came to say goodbye. She wore a clean dress and had flowers in her hair. Her grandmother had made her look nice for the special occasion. Walked beside her, his claws digging into the soft earth. The burns on his fur from the neural disruptors were almost completely healed. In a few weeks, there would be no sign of the fight at all. Commander saw them coming and felt a strange mix of emotions. Fear, yes. He would always be a little afraid of that small, angry creature, but also respect, and something that might have been affection. He knelt down, which was painful because of his arm, and looked at the little girl at eye level. "You were not afraid of us," he said through his translator. "From the very beginning you showed no fear. Why?" Thought about the question. She was only 8 years old, but she took it seriously. "My grandmother says fear is for things you do not understand," she said finally. "When I saw you, I was surprised. You look very different, but you talked to me. You asked questions. You were not mean, so I understood that you were just people even if you looked strange. But we came to conquer your world. We came to take everything from your species." Shrugged, many people try to take things. It does not always work, and I knew would protect me if you were bad. Looked at the honey badger, looked back at him with those flat, fearless eyes. There was no anger in them now. The alien was leaving. The territory was safe. For the moment, they were not enemies. "Your creature," said slowly, "nearly killed 6 trained soldiers. Soldiers who have fought in wars across the galaxy. Soldiers who have never lost a battle." Smiled and scratched his head. He was being gentle that day. He did not go for throats. When he is really angry, he goes for throats. Decided he did not want to know more about that. He stood up and looked around. Lieutenant was there, with his tablet and his calm smile. Elder was drinking rice wine with one of the soldiers, teaching him how to say curse words in Korean. Was giving Bren final instructions about caring for his wound. These were the people who had defeated the collective, not with armies or weapons, with a honey badger and patience and a complete lack of fear. "I have a question," said Tu. "Your species keeps these creatures as pets, these angry, fearless, violent animals. Why?" Laughed, "Because we think they are cute." "Cute?" "Yes, look at those little ears. Look at that flat face. Look at how he walks." He pointed at who was now digging a hole for no apparent reason. "Many humans see that and feel affection. We want to take care of it. We want to be its friend." Watched the honey badger dig. Dirt flew in all directions. Did not seem to have a purpose. He just wanted to dig. When he found a rock in his way, he bit it and threw it aside. When the hole was deep enough, he climbed out and started digging another one next to it. "Your species," said slowly, "sees that creature and feels affection." "Yes." "The creature that feels no pain and fears nothing, and attacks anything that enters its territory." "Yes." "And you raise them from bobbies and let your children play with them." "Some people do, yes, likes family." Turned to his lieutenant. "Bren, make a note. Humans are insane. Include this in the official report." Bren nodded weakly. He was still looking at his bandaged hand. The time came to leave. The soldiers boarded the ship one by one. Was the last. He stood at the top of the ramp and looked out at the gathered crowd. "The collective will not return to this world," he announced. "We will mark Earth as a protected planet. No invasion fleet will ever come here." "Protected by what?" someone in the crowd asked. "You have no forces here. You are not leaving any guards." Looked at, the honey badger had finished digging holes and was now eating something he had found in the ground. Probably a bug, or a small snake, or a rock. With that creature, anything was possible. "Protected by everything," said. "By your weapons and your history and your complete lack of sanity, but mostly by that." He pointed at, who was waving goodbye with both hands, and at the honey badger sitting at her feet like the most dangerous pet in the galaxy. The door closed, the ship rose into the sky. In minutes it was gone. Watched until she could not see it anymore. Then she picked up and carried him back toward the farmhouse. "Are you hungry?" she asked him. "Grandmother is making breakfast. There are rice cakes." Made his grinding metal sound of happiness. Behind them, the humans began to pack up and leave. The soldiers went back to their bases. The scientists went back to their laboratories. The villagers went back to their farms and their soup and their ordinary lives. Within a week, everything was normal again. The only sign that aliens had ever visited was a few strange holes in the ground that had dug. Far away, in the cold space between stars, Commander sent his report to the High Command. It was long and detailed. It included information about human weapons and human history and human psychology. But the part that everyone would remember came at the very end. "The humans have a saying about the creature that defeated us," wrote. "They say, honey badger does not care. This means the animal is not affected by pain or fear or common sense. It simply does what it wants and nothing can stop it." He paused before writing the final line. "After extensive study, we have concluded that the same is true of the humans themselves. This world should never be attacked. The creatures who live there are not prey. They are something else entirely. They are honey badgers with nuclear weapons, and they do not care." The report was classified at the highest level. It was read by every military leader and every politician in the collective. And from that day forward, the small blue planet called Earth was left alone. The honey badger had won.